what are some of the key characteristics or abilities that you see leaders need to develop in order to be truly future ready? Maybe one, two, or three characteristics that you think they need
So
to.
one which I think is super important is to embrace diversity. So to have diverse voices, have diverse perspectives in your team. And a lot, like some of that is about lived experiences. So what you want is diverse thinkers, right? So you want diverse thinking. And that might mean that, where does the diverse thinking come from? Part of that is because of people's history, their background, their lived experience. I often quote this study that's done at Harvard, where they looked at where do the most creative ideas come from. And they looked at carpenters who were supposed to wear safety masks, but many of them didn't. So these researchers were saying, how can we get them to wear their masks more without forcing them? And they asked carpenters, they asked roofing contractors, and they asked rollerbladers, people who are inline skaters. And the inline skaters had best ideas for carpenter safety. And part of the reason was because they had very, very different backgrounds and lived experiences. And again, it's a trap for many leaders to surround themselves with people like them. And now we've got complex problems that we're trying to solve in the world, and we need diverse thinkers because we need to create complex solutions to those problems. It's no longer a case of saying, I've seen this problem 20 times, so it's almost by instinct I know what the answer is. It's just not the case anymore. So the more diversity you have in your team, and that means a number of things. It might mean have more women in your team, or have a mix of women and other genders, male, women, and other genders. Maybe you want religious and cultural diversity, definitely want age diversity in your team. So bring that, and people from different industries, different backgrounds, and really, like people talk about diversity and inclusion. So diversity is having those people in your team. Inclusion is actually tapping into that diversity rather than only going with the majority or mainstream. So I think that's one of the most important things. And of course, around the world, we're seeing more of a focus on that with the leaders. And some organizations are doing this really well. Some are still falling behind, lagging behind. So I think diversity is one of them. I almost can't emphasize that enough. It's such an important one, and it's we absolutely need to do that. Absolutely need to do that because our world's much more connected. Our organizations and our communities are much more connected. And the problems we're solving are much more connected as well. So that's the first one. Do you want me to?
Maybe one or two more, maybe.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So the other thing, and I do talk about this in the book as well, is just having clarity. So for leaders to get more clarity, and clarity doesn't mean fake it till you make it. It doesn't mean pretend clarity, saying I know what's going to happen. In fact, we don't. And it's better for leaders to say, I actually don't know what's going to happen. So one of the best leaders I know is one of my very good friends. So, and she was a very junior leader at the time when she was working for a pharmaceutical company, and she had a management role, a leadership role, and the company was going through some massive changes. And of course, her team was worried about what that meant for them and their jobs. And what she said to them was, look, I don't know what's going to happen, but as soon as I know, I'll let you know. And in the meantime, I'm going to do whatever I can to give you as much clarity as we can, and my confidence as I can, to tread the path now. So it's again, look, you don't know what the future is going to look like, but if I can give you some clarity and confidence, we can make some better decisions now. So I talked about in the book, Reed Hastings is a CEO of Netflix, and he was what is the book? What's the name of the book? I can't remember. No Rules.
Okay. Yeah.
No Rules. Yeah. And so he's talking about the idea of trusting people, and he says we need to trust them, like even with information that you may not want to share with them. So if you're leading a company and it's about to go through some bad times and people are going to lose their jobs, possibly, do you tell people that we're in troubled times and we might lose our jobs, or do you wait for that until they have to be told, or do you tell them early? And Reed Hastings says, no, we trust them. You tell them as soon as you know. So give them clarity into the future, because some of them will leave. Some of them will decide, I don't have enough certainty, so I'm going to leave. Others will say, I'm going to step up and I'm going to help, so that we don't go through those tough times. And so the more clarity you can give them, some people call it transparency and clarity, the better the leader that you are.